I've been listening to a bit of Nick Kershaw, this 1980s British musician, pop star, today. Uh, and those clips are from his video of his record Don Quixote. Um, Now, it's breathtaking, the promise that that guy had. Uh, really smart stuff. Smarter than anyone else, I think, in British music in the 80s. Any single solo performer in popular music. I think he had more promise than anyone else. You can see in those clips the flexibility he had, the talent that the guy had so early on, and how he could tap into different influences, so many different influences across his records. But I think he peaked, for my liking, he peaked with the video and the audio of Don Quixote. Not so much the grand scale of Disco Inferno. Not so much the the blueprint for how to do things, but sort of getting there and playing with stuff. And the the throwing away of convention time in this instance, rigid time, and in the dance movement, the formal stuff, and then just this flexibility at the end of that short sequence. For me, strikes me as really important. And it's sort of, from what I read of Kershaw, this may be right, this may be inaccurate. Apparently, his parents, his antecedents, were musicians in the art world, and he worked at a government department, an unemployment office. That sort of resonates with my background to a certain extent. My mum with links to the British military, my dad with his links to and conservatism, a certain type of liberal conservatism that my mum had, and my dad with his more, for want of a better term, libertarian conservatism, more about freedom. So there's that operating within. So in terms of breaking the shackles, and doing things in interesting ways, I think you've got to have that in terms of thinking as well. I think you've got to have that formulaic stuff. You've got to have that grounding in a certain, with constraints as well as possibilities. Because without that, you just you're not really gonna do much, sort of thing. But yeah, I find that video really interesting. I did say when I was at college that I'd read all of Don Quixote. That I was at one stage. I said I was going to save the second half for further down the line. But I never did read the second half, and I kind of, I did read the first half. But at some stage, I would like to read, not for any autobiographical sense for me, but Apparently, it was the first modern novel. The translation I had was pretty shit years ago. It was sort of immature humour. I wouldn't even class it as my type of schoolboy humour at times, or student humour even. But with me, there was that. There was also the grounding in an education, as well as doing drugs. I think that experimenting with drugs, I think the two complemented each other really well. Like I said in the past, the influence of the American Empire, or Britain's interpretation of the American Empire back in the 80s, that was so influential. The impact of technology that was coming on board, this expansion, these possibilities that you could achieve. But Nick Kershaw really was, really had talent, really had a lot of promise. Unfortunately, he seems to have been one of these ones who burn out pretty quick. That's one of the constraints of pop music, I suppose, with people in that area. Yeah, in terms of thinking and approaching things, like I said, the Disco Inferno, it sort of lays out a blueprint in an obvious way. Nick Kershaw sort of explores around all that in the riddle, which is quite strong, Don Quixote, which is very strong, and Wouldn't It Be... I Won't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, which has got strong verses but a weak chorus, I think. Really interesting stuff. There's another record of his called Human Racing, which is interesting as well, but it's a bit too much. Musically, it's a bit drab. But those three, the riddle, Don Quixote, and I Won't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, which sort of reminds me of Dylan Thomas, where he said, I think it's Rage Against the Dying of the Light. Sort of reminds me of that in a way. Dylan Thomas, incidentally, I think I mentioned, he said, apparently, I've had 18 straight whiskies. I think that's a record before he went the way of the cooker. and the brightest thing to be boasting about when you're about to go to the cooker. Yeah, Nick Kershaw, real promise. What a pity. But what there is of what he did is impressive. But yeah, it's this. You sort of break the shackles, but you still maintain an order. There's still an order there. This is the nature of the Disco Inferno, isn't it? Those opening beats where you're getting down into the experience, and you're bringing the disco, the order down, and you're sort of working with it. It's a relationship, and it's an interesting one. So you like sort of breaking certain shackles but maintaining others, and that's pretty much what I get from what I do and how I've been approaching things, and it's really interesting. I've really enjoyed today. I'm a bit tired from lack of sleep. Well, I'm enjoying stuff. Starting to enjoy stuff again. That isn't so limited. I'll still listen to the stuff I've been listening to, that I listened to in the lead up to the last few days. but I want to listen to other stuff as well. Stuff that's more grounding as well, more based in the real world sort of thing, rather than my own imaginings and thoughts. But laying down a framework that works for me and works in the situation I'm in, and carrying on with that. But I've come across some really worthwhile songs. And there was this one, Goodbye Mr. Blue, by this guy called Josh Tillman, apparently, who apparently called himself Father John Misty, obviously scientists and so on and so forth. Or maybe these things took on a life of their own, I wouldn't know. With the wider influences, but like a sort of double meaning sort of thing, but I can reclaim that now, and I've demonstrated that to myself today, that these records that I'm listening to have sort of, sort of establishing what I want from what I think and what I experience, which is good for me. And if it's good for me, it may well be good for other people. But so breaking the shackles, get windy. From tomorrow, the temperature dips, and we're into it looks like the winter months, the autumn months are coming pretty quick. Like I said, it's now, I don't know what temperature is, about 17, 18 degrees, maybe 16, 15, something like that. But tonight the temperature dips, or tomorrow the temperature dips apparently. But so like I said, you've got like disorder and order. It's like one of the senses of humour that I didn't cover yesterday was an anarchic sense of humour that I've got at times, and I value it, but like it's within. There's still order to it. There's still an order to it. There has to be for it to be effective. You can't have a sense of humour like that. You can't have a way of thinking like I can think, and you can't be able to assemble and create stuff like I can think, and so on and so forth, without a sense of order, without a framework. And it has to be a good one, especially if you have a sense of humour that can be as anarchic and so on as mine can be. You do need that order there. That's what I sort of mean. That's really what I mean when I say I don't really need controlling, and I never really have. I don't think. I know how to manage my moods. I know how to manage my thinking. I know how to, even to say manage to work with it, like you do with the disco, with the game of life. You work with it. It's a relationship. If it wasn't, then either you'd be. And this is, to a certain extent, Nick Kershaw. He's not at the level, I don't think, of Disco Inferno of the Tramps. But he explores some interesting stuff. And he was a smart fella at an early stage. But like I said, seemed to have burnt out. which is a pity. But yeah, yeah, quite interesting that. It's quite an interesting uh, day today, all told. Managed to get a couple of naps in. One sitting here, one in the bedroom. Uh, uh, just fell asleep. Didn't even get into bed or anything. Just fell asleep, propped up on my arm. Fell asleep here. Oh, I dribbled all down my top as well, which was really appealing. And yeah, just dusting around here and really enjoying the day. A measured day, the most measured day I've had so far. It's coming quick. Yeah, but I'm going to work at making sure that these days that this becomes more embedded in my days now. That's one of the things I've been doing today. Even though at times, yeah, I wouldn't. I'd be rejecting an essential part of myself if I didn't enjoy and have a right laugh about pretty not mainly about my sense of humour because it is yeah, it is something that does really make me laugh. But yeah, enjoyable day. The more extended part of that sequence, where Nick Kershaw has this formality and then flexibility. And in answer to the question, Don Quixote, what do you say? Are we proud? Are we brave? Or just crazy? With me, at least, and I guess this is the case with a lot of people, if not most people, if not pretty much everyone. That it's like I said about this notion that I've needed controlling in some way at any stage. Interrupt the process that needs to take place, and you're just crazy. That's all you are. But see the process through, and you're proud and you're brave. You've got something to take pride in. That's my conclusion, anyway, to that question. Are we proud and brave, or just crazy? Are we just shouting at windmills? or is there something off the back of it? I mean, when going back to the opening sequence, when Nick Kershaw throws the watch into the sea, reminiscent of Dirty Harry throwing his police badge at the culmination of that film into the river, into the stream or whatever. It's sort of, we don't really get to see what happens to Dirty Harry within that text, within Dirty Harry. What happens to him after that, we can only guess. But in Don Quixote by Nick Kershaw, we see him sort of going back to question, these themes of the game of life. And my take, like I say, it may only be applicable to me, but I don't think it is. If my experience of people has been anything to go by, not necessarily within the amalgam era, but maybe even within the amalgam era, and beyond that. I really do think it's the case that if you need a framework, you need a degree of order, and you need a degree of disorder, you need a degree of formality, you need a degree of flexibility. The beauty of Nick Kershaw's Don Quixote is he actually does take it somewhere. Okay, so he's only asking a question, but that's at least something to build on, something to get people thinking. It's a really, complex character Nick Kershaw was. Really complex character in an early age, which many of us are at an early age. And some of us carry on with that, some of us sort of dumb down and just, whether that's the right term or not, I don't know. Some people say things like settle down and stuff like that. I think you can settle down without dumbing down. I think you can still maintain a degree of formality and disorder, formality and flexibility, order and disorder, throughout the course of your life. Many people do. So yeah, I really do like the video. Is really worth watching. It's got some great sequences in it, and the performance of Kershaw, multi-talented fella, and it's a joy to see stuff like that. Someone who's really on top of their game in something. So yeah, and that's what I'd say. About my text, a disco worth having. It's a solid text. But now I'm looking on how to make the most of that approach, with that framework, with that order, with that flexibility. And like I say, in the mistake I think that's been made down the years has been interrupting that process when that process has been taking place. Obviously, there's been a situation ongoing, but it's important to see that process through, and come to the conclusion that no, I'm not crazy. I'm not. I don't belong in a mental health framework. I am proud and brave, and to have to be that, to have to have been that, to have to still be that, maybe in some ways, I don't know. Just to have days like this where it's just enjoyable, where I can put what I've benefited from, even though I moan about some things. Really, the upshot is I've benefited far more from the trials and tribulations, etc., of the past 25, 29, coming on for 30 years, than of than there's been disadvantages. There's been far more advantages than disadvantages, and that's one of the reasons for tapping in more to parts of the amalgam experience, even though that's difficult in the situation I'm in, or it has been. But today, like I said, massive progress. But it's keeping on that trend. It's going to be key. It's going to be crucial. But yeah. So yeah. Maybe it could be the case for a lot of people. Maybe everyone. That if there's a way of doing things where you can establish some sense of a framework, where you can be flexible within and around that framework, but having a gravitational pull from that framework, then seeing that process through of whatever you want to call it, colour TV, in an era where there was a push for black and white TV, a Disco Inferno approach, a better game of life, a disco worth having, then maybe we're not crazy at all, and then we've got something to take pride in, and not least our bravery, but in what we get off the back of seeing a process worth going through, achieving.